Drogon is jealous of Jon, and I'm sure that's not going to cause any complications. We got some creepy concept art, and Lena was not too happy about her character Cersei sleeping with Euron. I love Game of Thrones season. Okay, real quick, let's get out of the way that Drogon is jealous of Jon because I find it absolutely hilarious. So Paula Fairfield, who is the person that does all the sounds for the show, talked about her reasoning behind Drogon's certain sounds, and I love it. She said,
"My story of Drogon is he's the reincarnation of Khal Drogo, Dany's hot husband from season 1. That relationship I always have in mind when choosing Drogon's sound." She also talked about Jon touching Drogon in the last season, stating, "My story that I told myself is that he was being dominant. I can piss way further than you. He was kinda nice to him. Maybe you're fam." My comment in my head before he flew away was, "Remember bro, she only rides me."
I don't know about you, but I would not want to be on the bad side of a dragon. I also would not want to break the heart of that dragon's mother. Jon, watch your back. Even if you have Rhaegal, dude, and Rhaegal has bonded with you, I'd still watch out for Drogon. Next, let's talk about Nikolai seeing Bran again for the first time since he, did that thing where he pushed a child out the tower window, and then we all went on to love him despite the fact that he's a potential child murderer. So he said on Jaime seeing Bran again.
"First of all, I don't think wheelchairs are a normal thing in Westeros. I think it's like, what the hell? And then, oh my god, that's the kid. I think he knows Bran didn't die, but he doesn't expect to meet him."
But Jaime thinks what any normal person would think in that situation. This kid is totally gonna fucking rat me out. Nikolai shared Jaime's thoughts, saying,
"His mission changes again. It goes from, I know my brother Tyrion is there and I'm going to fight the good fight, to, I'm in deep shit now. Because this is the Lord of Winterfell that I tried to kill and I'm sure he wants revenge." That's what Jaime expects. Of course, then we saw Bran not give two shits about Jaime in the second episode, so that threw Jaime through a loop.
Bran's like, dude, I have bigger things. I need to protect the realm. I have a plan, and I need you to do certain things to ensure we all live, so get your shit together. Okay, let's talk about some concept art, because I didn't think this scene...
Hope the Night King doesn't come first.
...could get any creepier. I was so wrong.
So this concept art was so good, I just had to share it. The illustration? Chilling. I'm always amazed at the concept art for this show. They go all out. Also, if you haven't seen it, see the beautiful death for Ned Umber. That also was so good. Also kind of telling that Ned Umber is dead, and then within the sword is Jon and Dany having time to have boom boom time.
If you were one of those people betting that Euron would be the first to die this season, well, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Euron, in fact, is not one of the main characters to die first this season. In fact, the actor for Euron shared,
"My agent sent me a text that said the most likely character to die first is me. So a lot of people are gonna lose money. I do some cool shit."
I mean, of course Euron dies, but as for cool shit, what cool shit? Are you just gonna bang the queen more? I just don't see Euron doing a lot more cool stuff. He just seems like a generic crazy pirate dude. However, the actor for Euron did share what Euron thinks of Theon and Yara, and it's not much. He doesn't really care about them because they can't give him power, and that's Euron's main drive at this point. So if anyone's thinking, is Euron going to hunt Theon and Yara down? No, Euron could give two shits about them. But still on Euron, Lena actually had a problem with Cersei dropping her panties for Euron. I mean, after you deliver this epic line...
You want a whore, buy one. You want a queen, earn her.
Come on. Oh, side note, someone tweeted me a thing of someone saying, this is every girl's tagline on Tinder after the first episode, and it's hilarious because it's probably sort of true. Just be a cat lady. It's much easier that way. So on the decision for Cersei to let Euron into the bedroom, Lena also added,
I kept saying she wouldn't, that she would keep fighting. But showrunners David and Dan obviously know what they're doing and were adamant Cersei would do what she had to do. There's something to play in all of it. Cersei is such the ultimate survivor in all of this. She refuses to fall to her knees. She goes to the place where she doesn't want to go, which makes it a more powerful sad because of who she's not with.
I have said this before, and I will say it again. I think the bittersweet thing for Cersei is for so long, she was so pissed off because she was born first, and she said, you know, if I had a penis between my legs, I could have done whatever I wanted, I would have had power, blah, blah, blah. And she's finally coming to the conclusion, you can be in the best position ever, the highest position ever, and you still can't choose who you have sex with or who you have to marry. It's just a part of their world, is a part of their culture, and that's a huge slap in her face.
Lastly on that, Euron's actor added to this, stating, we had a lot of discussions. Would it be out of character for her to be with Greyjoy for power? We discussed it so much that we almost ended up going, maybe it's too much. Then we decided to try it out and see if it works. Sometimes you have to show different sides of a character. You have to surprise yourself as an actor, but you also have to surprise yourself as a character.
Euron's actor did say that he was happy they didn't show the actual sex scene because apparently he doesn't look good naked because he's too hairy, so I guess that was a good thing. However, we know Cersei's body double for doing naked scenes was on set for the final season, so we're either going to see a sex scene in the future or a horrific stillbirth, childbirth, miscarriage, something. Almost lastly, George said that the ending of the show isn't actually going to be that different than the ending of his books.
George did an interview and shared some things about the ending of the show in relation to his books. First, he clarified how much D&D know of his series ending, sharing, we're talking here about several days of story conferences taking place in my home. But there's no way to get in all the detail, all the minor characters, all the secondary characters. The series has been extremely faithful, compared to the 97% of all television and movie adaptations of literary properties. But it's not completely faithful, and it can't be. Otherwise, it would have to run another 5 seasons. He then went on to say the ending of the show isn't too different from the book, saying, I don't think Dan and Dave's ending is going to be that different from my ending, because of the conversations we did have. But on certain secondary characters, there may be big differences.
And I actually made a video discussing the differences between the books and the show, and if that's going to be a thing, so you can watch that video. I'm not going to expand any more on that. However, I am going to talk about how George also said that he is very aware people are going to debate whether the ending for the show was done better or the ending for his books was actually done better, which I know people want to make the joke. Oh, you think you're actually going to give us a Dream of Spring, George, do you? So, shh, positive thoughts. So anyways, George said,
there will be a debate, I'm sure. I think a lot of people will say, oh, Dan and Dave's ending is better than the one George gave us. It's a good thing they changed it. And there will be a lot of people who say, no, Dan and Dave got it wrong. George's ending is better. And they will all fight on the internet. And there will be debate. And that's fine. You know, the worst thing for any work of art, be it a movie or a book, is to be ignored.
Lastly, on the future of Game of Thrones, an HBO executive said,
it's a double-edged sword. The answer is yes. We're having conversations about how do we smartly continue the Game of Thrones universe. But we have to be really thoughtful about not killing the golden goose and not putting on shows that aren't up to that quality level. And how many is too many.
So while we know that they're still working on some prequel shows and they're going to start filming the pilot for The Long Night, not called The Long Night prequel, coming this summer, they want to make sure they're absolutely sure about whatever they do before they continue on with the Game of Thrones franchise.
Oh, and by the way, Elmo wants you to respect each other, so keep that in mind next time you're all super nasty. Elmo knows best.